valiant attempt from the last player alive. I believe it was Vertical for actually trying to make the clutch happen there, but didn't end up falling through. Mirage once again show us some consistency with their basement executes as they're able to win 2 in a row, this time even in more cleaner fashion that time. Obviously a bit more of an extended duel, but overall seemed like they had better grasp of the situation coming up to the very end of that round. Finally, OXG are going to call for the switch, though. They're going to work their way upstairs and see if they fare better inside of the dorms. That means Maestro coming in there on Yaga. It's actually going to get 6 pick. Never mind. Right back to the Momai as we'll see a relatively similar lineup to what they were using in the basement.
Okay, well, last 6 pick coming in here. It's going to be hot and cold to the Ying now instead of loading. And honestly, I think that this is the pickup. I was having a conversation a little while ago with one of my friends about Mirage, and just talking about how Coastline went previously with this Mirage squad, and it went really well for them. I would say there was a couple of different things where you could definitely tell, like, them just not being a team for as long as some other squads was just not working out for them. Some errors made by a handful of players, but here we're back to loading just dying kind of often inside of these early rounds. And the sad thing is he really hasn't been able to use his utility like he wants to. So I feel like him going back to the Nomad is simply saying, hey, I want to play this safe this time around and guarantee we don't have to deal with any flanks. Let's put somebody that's got a hot hand right now, hot and cold, onto Ying and see what they can possibly make with that T95. Personally, I love the exchange here. Hotton has been lights out in every series that he's played so far, and to give him an opportunity to have a character like this and actually execute with it could bode extremely well for them.
All right, guys, we're working our way into round number 3 here. It's a small tower clear once again for Mirage to take that early control, and it's going to be uncontested. Oxygen, once again, not really focusing on restricting this part of the map away from the Mirage roster, not until they start working their way up those white stairs anyway, and we're not going to see that, like I mentioned before, for about a minute or two here. At the moment, just working on clearing the utility above all else. Probably going to see some master control being worked towards too, if I had to judge from the silhouettes. Okay, we might actually see a fight happen here relatively early. Yaga going for a bit of a wild swing out the white stairs. Get some chip damage onto Benji. Nothing serious, though. He'll still be in good straits for the rest of this round.
Well, slow and steady wins the race right now for both of these squads. No real roam game being showed from Oxygen, all except for what seems to be the meeting side. Yes, Vertical currently inside of the kitchen hallway. He'll get tagged up, but gives just about as good as he gets. Now kitchen control here from Mirage as they've cleared out all of the lower half of the map, at least for what concerns them. Just strictly worried about any nitro cells or anything going off under them when they're trying to plant. But they still have to worry about these 2 Oxygen members spinning around the entire map. That's going to be Vert as well as Foxe. Only 3 Oxygen members currently on site. We'll see how Mirage tries to handle this roam game now. They're going to have to try and set up loading in a pretty optimal position here. He's already got all of his air jabs down, so this could be down to the Mirage members to truly hold this flank with a man instead.
Nick's still hunting desperately for that target, but unfortunately not going to be able to find one so easily here. 2 minutes having gone from the clock now. Mirage going to start to be stressed for time a little bit as once again they don't have any sort of kill to lead off of here. They're going in essentially straight from the 5v5. But the good news is once again they'll be able to pit themselves ahead here into a 5v4. Candela's getting spammed into all angles, and this actually might be a successful sneak. Never mind. Yaga shuts it down at the final second or two. Benji does find a trade, but that leaves us even in a 3 versus 3 now. Benji as well having to fall back deeper into white stairs, so no confirmed upstairs control, just as if even worse. There'll be a smoke getting chucked into his way, so will continue to be held back for a few moments. And to make the story really even worse here for Mirage, Diffuser not very easily retrievable at this point in time, but Houghton gets the job done anyway. He'll be able to pick that back up. Nick's going to start to try and lurk his way back in here, but unfortunately a Banshee will make a load of noise as he tries to accomplish that task. A 1-for-1 exchange, now making a 2-for-1 in favor of the defense. Will leave Hot and Cold alone, trying to clutch this one out. There's the first. He's got the info on the second. Can he get it done? Unfortunately not. Yaga clutches it out instead for OXG, and they finally get on the board here on round 3.
An Oxygen by the skin of their teeth there. Just so worrying when Hot and Cold is still on the board. The execute not working out for Mirage. They had a good basement clear where all of the Oxygen members actually ended up just falling off. Nobody really wanting to get in the face of the offense, and instead leaned onto the site setup to see if they could slow down Mirage, and that's exactly what happened. Not able to get their sneaky plant off with the Candelas overwatching after a Nitro Cell goes off from the defense. So some solid stuff from Oxygen to not only counter out Mirage's play, but to also keep that case control by the window, not allow them to try and crunch onto site. Some really, really solid stuff moving into round 4, but they need to continue to grab these defensive rounds as they come. Oregon does tend to still lean defensive sided, so ending on a positive note would be a really strong thing here for them.
Let's find out if that job can be accomplished here. XG starting off with a bit of a rough patch, but hopefully being able to rebound now after a successful Kids defense, currently working their way back downstairs, trying to see if they can finally solidify this side defense on the 3rd attempt, as it would have been seemed like they had control back in the first round with the way things were going, but unfortunately lost due to that very, very nice execute from Mirage, where all players were firing off on cylinders there, trying to pick up the frags, and it seemed like they did so. Benji, I think, specifically having some really good entry work there from the Zofia. Time to see if they can do it once again, though, as they're on the prowl trying to steal that basement away from OXG. Let's see if they can get it done, as Yaga going to try to get himself in the way early on in the round once again with this lurk over here towards the yellow halls by Small Tower.
Well, a good entry starts with good droning, and that's what good droning gets you. Both of these entries have been so beautiful so far today. Benji mostly, but what a play between these two. You can definitely see the synergy starting to work its way through for both of them. Bert's going to get a run out onto not loading once again, John. No more air jabs, 1, 0, and 4. How are you feeling about that?
Not loading, just probably stay away from tower, my guy. That's not your.
Stay away from windows, today. Doors, any sharp objects.
No offense, but it's not going too hot for you today. Maybe try small tower instead. Maybe a bit more your speed. Either way, we're going to see a quick rebound there from OXG after once again losing the opening pick, and more importantly, losing Yaga along with it. The good news is the Banshees that Yaga's operator would have put on the ground are still very much going to be a problem as we work our way into the mid to late round here, and more importantly, as we move ourselves into the phase where Mirage is going to start slowly shifting down for that basement control. It does appear as though Freezer is a bit of the favorite again, but that could pretty rapidly switch. Mirage have been having a lot of success with this Freezer laundry take, though, so not really any reason why they'd need to shift away from it.
No, not at all, especially with this top clear that they've already done. I mean, they have so much control right now, and they simply just need to pop these hatches. Big issue now, though, is since they don't have any air jabs, they can't hold down these staircases, and Oxygen are definitely going to abuse that. They're going to get aggressive here and try and force Mirage into a bad, execute. Whether it be through E-Box or what have you, we'll have to see. Mirage still has yet to truly commit to something just yet. Looks like they want to maintain this back tower control. See if they can possibly get something done here. They do have the E-Box hatch open with some frag grenades in Hot and Cold's hand, but they don't really have too much intel to try and capitalize off of. Foxy's going to take some damage from, I assume, construction as Benji is rotated down. With less than a minute remaining now, Oxygen choose to back things off and let Mirage have an opportunity. Laxing with the first punch, though, inside of the last minute as Nyx goes down. All this utility starting to weigh on Mirage. Kino with another opportunity, takes down Hot and Cold. Heard him drop E-Box, has another chance, gets Dream. Could possibly have the triple kill here if it goes his way for Benji on Big Tower. Goes for the wide swing, and it's Kino for 3, folks. Looking like stuff from the line for Oxygen. Round 4, going for the defense.
Kino just a perfect hold at the end there, and really the difference maker inside of that round. Leading up until that moment, Mirage have been doing a fantastic job with their sort of preset game as well as their intel game too. Multiple times, obviously at the beginning, catching Yaga there, as well as right at the end where they were almost able to catch Laxing, I think, on a move as well. We saw really good setups from the Mirage folks trying to trap members of OXG, find those early picks before they made aggressive movements. Unfortunately, just wasn't expecting on Kino to have that heroic hold that he had just on the inside of the construction doorway. There's some really good stuff for him to be able to turn that back around and give the round over to OXG ultimately.
I mean, that was fantastic. Like you were saying, that early pick happens for Mirage, but they immediately get one back in the, in the sense of not loading. Turn that over to Mirage, and they really weren't able to do anything with the map control that they had gathered. Oxygen was just too strong downstairs, and Mirage just couldn't get past any of that utility. They just didn't have what was needed at the time to make it happen. So some really solid stuff there from Oxygen. Really want to see Mirage pick it up inside of these rounds, especially on the entry department. These early deaths are really costing them right now. I mean, with not loading, not dying early on inside of these last 2 rounds, I really think Mirage could possibly be up 3-1 right now.
Definitely the case. Mirage starting to falter a little bit here, but possibly an opportunity for them as we're rotating to the third and final point on Oxygen's site triangle here as they head down into meeting room and kitchen for the probably the most exposed hole out of the three that they're potentially going to try and work with here today on their map. Looking at the opening pushes from Mirage, yet again, it does look like Big Tower, as you guys might expect for this type of a hold, is going to be a big player and quite a few other positions too. Benji working his way onto the roof here. We'll see what kind of info, as well as take, he might be trying to play for in the early round.
Well, Mirage knows that Oxygen had working this big tower, this entire map, but this time it's going to be a completely different setup as they've moved to meeting in kitchen. Downstairs as well as big tower will be the priority, and you can see exactly why. Usually on this meeting site, you're going to go for the stage plant on the offense, so Oxygen are going to try and deny that through any means necessary. This means controlling the downstairs E-box area to keep that hatch open for possible nitro cells, as well as slowing down Mirage and gaining control of big tower. They need to not only get the hatch open inside of attic if it's possible, but also get the stage wall open to start trying to put this plant down. Drone economy early on here, still looking pretty solid. They've lost about 4 drones moving into the halfway point, and they've got some pretty good placements across the board. Mirage is strung out across the map. Benji on mostly the most forward position right now as he's actually at the top of main stairs, trying to get in some fights with these Oxygen members on Rome over in dorms. Foxay also going to get lit up over inside of showers.
Nice pick from Waxing there. Just deletes Nyx and escapes down into the basement. Another one found as well, this time from Yogg. Great picks on the roam game here from OXG, making serious impact. Oh my goodness, and Kino getting another one here as well. OXG shutting down all of the attacking setups here right now for Mirage. Finally, Benji able to turn at least one of those around as Vertical gets taken out just by the kids' dorms. But other than that, Dream as well as Benji now suddenly having to work their way back from a 2v4. Don't even know if the two of them are that well positioned together at this point, either with Dream being downstairs and Benji being upstairs. We're going to have to be very careful here. Dream potentially walking up on yet another member of OXG, and he misses the signal here. Laxing still hiding at the top of the staircase. Laxing quickly chucking out the nitro cells well, hoping that Benji would have been close by. Not going to be the case. And as a result of that missed information, Benji's going to be able to get one scratch, then 2 more trades going into his favor here. Picks up the diffuser as well. Now into a 1v2, 25 seconds to work with, which isn't a terrible amount of time, all things considered, but what he's really missing right now is intel. Not a lot of preset drones out on the map, and we can see that as he goes in blind. Kino shuts him down, and Oxygen take the 5th round.
Kino with the trust in the M590. This guy's seeing double, but he still gets the single, if you know what I mean. Some good stuff there by Oxygen to lock things up on meeting and kitchen. And their rounds on defense have just gotten stronger and stronger the longer this half has went on. We're going to head back to dorms now and see if they can lock things up there. They had a really good defense the last time they were here, so I don't think that it's going to go too poorly for them. But as for Mirage, I think that this is the talking point right now. These early frags blue, they just keep hindering Mirage's success inside of the late round time and time again. As we'd seen in the 2 rounds that they were able to pick up, they are no stranger to the execute. In fact, they're very, very good at it, whether it be burning through utility, getting rid of, deployable shields or what have you. They're really set up to be able to do that. Great communication on that front. But when the early picks come through for Oxygen, everything seemingly falls apart. They were able to get it done when they lost loading early on inside of those first 2 rounds, but since that moment in time, Oxygen have taken full control of this defensive side of the game. We'll have to see if Mirage can possibly get back into this on their defensive side, but this round right here means a lot to them. If they're able to split this 3-3, this could possibly be Mirage actually making the change needed to take this on defense. Really, really big round here for both of these squads.
2-4, definitely going to be a workable scoreline for Mirage if they end up dropping this final one here, continuing the trend from the previous 3 rounds now. But 3-3, as Stokes was just mentioning, much, much more palatable, even arguably in their favor, looking at the grand scheme of things, depending on how those first couple of rounds in the second half go. Enough talk about the theoreticals, though. Let's get back into the actual match, where once again, Oxygen have an opportunity to go up ahead in a big way here. They can have another successful defense of the kids' dorms. Bit of a split hold upstairs here. A couple players roaming around on the first floor as well. Oxygen know they're in control of the early game right now, and they really want to push the envelope on that.
We'll see if they can possibly get some things done. These early rounds have been quite slow nowadays since Mirage have figured out that Oxygen really wants these lead-off picks. So just trying to make sure they cross their T's and dot their I's Could have a possible engagement soon with Benji going to the roof, but no, it's just going to be Foxay still lying in wait inside of Armory, but he's going to skimper off as well and decides to give up that half of the map. They're actually playing quite forward for a master hold right now, just seeing if Mirage could possibly just push in there and not take Armory. They'd have a nice cross there for Foxay, but that's not going to be the case. Instead, Mirage seemingly going for default. Want to go for Attic and then rotate that on over to what seems to be a possible master clear. Still have plenty of utility to do so, obviously, as we still are in early beginnings for round 6.
Vertical potentially going to have some trouble boiling his way relatively soon here too, but unfortunately we're likely that trouble's going to get avoided as he'll get spotted out by this drone and have to scurry away back down to the depths of the basement until he can find himself a fight later on within the round. Speaking of the round, we're halfway through it now, and Mirage have made a slight amount of progress working their way. And you can see one of the Goyo shields, I believe that's the one inside of Connector outside of the bedroom, getting blown up at this point here. So starting to get to that point where they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable try and at least start to pressure to the inside of the site here. And it's a good thing, too, is they're right on schedule for where we'd expect a team to be at this point in the round. Here's the problem, though. A lot of defender utility yet to be used. Laxing is going to, for the most... Oh, Laxing is going to get, actually, as I correct myself here, a little too aggressive as he jumps up on top of that upper attic portion there. Full committing to the spray, expecting someone to be on the other end of that Maverick line, but not the case. Nyx gets the revenge instead, taking him down, and Nyx even has Overwatch for this potential flank coming in for Vert right now, too. So great handle on the situation currently from our attackers.
That's where those torch lines can really get you into trouble with how quiet that torch can be. Nice pickup here for Mirage, but now they need to win out the round with the last 30 seconds remaining. They have some pressure onto Attic. They saw Vertical downstairs, and now it's the gunfire to try and bring this home, but it's Foxay to strike first. Takes down one grenade on him, but it's going to get eaten up by the ADS. He pre-fires another frag grenade as he finally gets taken down from Benji, but it's a trade back and forth. The kill feed lights up orange, but Kino's actually been down. Plant starting to go off by Dream, Overwatch by not loading on the cross from Attic, or actually top white instead. It's planted for game. And now they know where the last two remain. And oh, quick to the trigger is OXG, taking the life away from Mirage and claiming round 6 for themselves. 4-2 on the split for Oxygen.
Foxay having to dodge death like 3 times there on the attic hold. Had myself a little chuckle at that situation as he was just hoping for those to try and run into either the magnets or the ADS on the ground. Either way, they're going to res Kino up, even give him the honorary defuse here. Bump the stats up a little bit, because why not here? OXG are ahead 4-2 at halftime. 3 rounds in the second half here as they're getting ready to jump onto the attacking side. And they'll have control of this map and this match.
This guy is probably the scariest young smoke player I've seen in a really, really long time. Just the way that he handles his gunfights, as well as just that SMG-11 in general, so very dangerous. I mean, right now he's sitting at 8-0-3, and all he's been playing on the defense is shotgun SMG-11. That's been it. I think he's been on smoke every single time that we've seen him. So some fantastic stuff from him across the board. Got to give it to Kino. We'll see if he can possibly keep it up on the offense, and he's definitely got the operator to do it. OXG are not going to be bringing Habana here. Instead, they'll be bringing Ace, and you might be asking yourself exactly why. Well, there's a couple of different reasons. Number one, Maverick can handle the hatches for the downstairs area, as well as Ace can slap down 2 Selma charges to get rid of them, as well as Ace in general is just the most potent hard breacher in the game right now. I mean, not only can he get multiple walls all at once, but he has the AK-12 and smokes. So for someone like Kino that is just a gunner from a supporting position, you wouldn't not want to have him to have the AK-12. The gun is just too damn good to not have him be using it.
Not loading, also going to be bringing the Aruni into the picture this time around as an operator we've not seen yet come into play in this match. Obviously, one of the newest operators to be added to the competitive pool. She's been in the game now for quite a while, but only just now, as of the last 2 weeks or so with the new season starting, and you can see her come into play with those Soraya gates, I believe, if I'm pronouncing them correctly.
Soraya? I don't know either.
I hear Parker say Soraya, so I usually just follow him.
I don't know. Every time I see him, I'm like, oh, you got me doors with freaking laser beams attached to their freaking heads? That's all I think every single time.
Yeah, just call them Laser Gates. That's a fun name for them.
Yeah. No, she's a really, really cool operator, honestly, though. I think we've seen her already have some influence, most notably like that TSM game that we just watched, where Xset couldn't push through Freezer because both of them had low HP, and there was a Surya gate on the door. They could only hop the window, and the window was being held, so they were just dead. They couldn't really do anything. So it's moments like those where she really finds her opportunity as well as just burning away utility. I mean, we've got a lot of like newer gen operators here, and another chance is Nyx going to pre-fire, but it's actually not the true vertical. Oh, no.
I got baited by that too.
It's the hologram instead, Blue. We never would have known. Some nice stuff there by Vert, even baited out everybody at home.
So Nick's going to continue to wait this one out. Even getting a tad curious now as to the cross, and maybe should have gotten a bit more curious, so he looks away just a tad too soon and loses about 2/3 of his HP as a direct result of that vertical. Definitely winning the early battle for control here, but only serves to push back the roam game. Isn't going to make any massive progress except for access to white stairs there. Are going to see some hard breach utility getting used relatively early on as well due to the window access from the outside. The attacking ace, played by Kino, currently has to utilize here. You can see him opening up from the big window into the small kids' dorms to hopefully provide a better window of view and maybe even allow for a pick or two in Oxygen's favor here about halfway through the round. They're still looking for that opening frag or two. They need to justify the rest of their push, but they have not found it yet. Everybody on Mirage remaining as stalwart as they can be for the most part right now.
Solid beginnings here for Oxygen, backing Mirage off slowly, have great pressure into dorms and a possible white player coming up at any moment in time. This is a beautiful setup to try and go for the white bunks plant. Drone still coming in to confirm these locations. Lots of damage now as Laxing gets the first blood. It's hot and cold down, no more nitro cell. Yogg's gonna follow through as well. Frag grenade to the back of dorms, but it's gonna be the flank from Nyx to take down the white player. They need to stop the plant soon as well, but it hasn't even been committed to yet. It's actually not loading who's taking control of the space instead. He's sitting inside of white dorms. Nyx is shutting it down on white stairs. It's a triple kill for him. Could possibly have a quad, but finally, he's slowed down to a halt. Laxing, what a flick! Oh my, he wasn't even looking through the floorboards,
this one on the replay.
and he takes him out. Look at this shot. Oh my, some fantastic stuff from him. Oxygen claiming round 8. Or round 7, whatever. That was just some awesome stuff from OXG. I mean, come on. I don't think any of us expected that flank to go so well from Nyx.
No, not at all. And it was great, too, because it allowed for their positions to work together to a certain extent. Obviously, no getting pinched off from the other side of that one. It completely stopped the forward momentum coming in from OXG, and there really wasn't any way to restart it at that point either, except for dealing with either of those threats. Time was too low to try to rotate someone over towards Master, so they had to just go for it there. And thankfully, Laxing answered the call in that respect, getting not only the kill from below, but that very, very nice flick. Unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see that from his POV. Definitely want to try to get that on the replay later. That was very, very cool. But other than that, great recovery in the mid-round, the late round as well there from OXG to maintain the lead. Now push it even further to a net positive 3 over Mirage at this point. Only 2 more away from closing out the map. Mirage going to switch up their objectives and head downstairs here, hoping for a better result this time.
Well, you have to feel for Mirage here. I mean, this scoreline is really not telling you exactly what has happened between these two. I mean, Mirage have a real chance here on these defenses. They're looking strong. It's just, it's too little too late inside of the rounds right now where the big plays are happening, and Mirage simply don't have enough bodies to try and combat Oxygen. I mean, even with a triple kill from Nyx coming into that late round, it was still a 2 versus 5. It gets down to the 2 versus 2, but even in that, you don't have the chance you would have if you obviously had another person. So it really, really sucks for Mirage that these huge plays are coming through, but they're just not able to maintain life to make it to where they have a better chance going into those last 30 seconds. We're on to round 8 now, though. Oxygen not going to change up a single thing when it comes to this offensive lineup. As for Mirage, it looks to be more of the same as well, all except for Nyx, who is now on the Goyo.
So slight switch up there just because the Goyo is going to be a lot better served for this specific site. A lot more to block off, a lot better ways to utilize those shields as well on this specific site when compared to some of the other ones here. OXG already taking some map control away from Mirage, mainly just getting rid of the first and bottom floor presence, but Yaga actually pushing the envelope maybe a little bit too far there. Had some good intel, I believe, leading up to Nyx, was hoping he was going to be able to take him out by bypasses, taking out the default, and a couple other steps going down there, but he's very quick to realize when it was getting just a tad too hot in that situation and back away up those stairs to make sure that he didn't end up giving that early death away.
Well, slow and steady so far, but that's exactly what we expect here on Oregon. Oxygen still manning this offense extremely well, just currently working through meeting, getting the electrical hatch open. They're going to have to worry about a Saria gate on that, so they'll have to burn that later on, but since those cooldowns are so long, it shouldn't hold them back for too long. Still have 2 of those actually to worry about as well, since there's one on Loading's door. So
we got 2 flashes to try to chuck into them as well. So
yeah,
could be the easiest thing to get rid of.
Yeah, probably gonna have to run through it actually with a body. We'll have to see. Some drones coming in now, and Oxygen looking for their opportunity, but truly nothing home just yet. Some really strong positioning so far from Mirage. Mostly poised around E-Box. Got some good drone intel, though, on the situation around construction, and this could possibly help out Yogg, but he's currently by himself, and there's just way too many people to worry about. Could be a possible freebie here for Foxay, but oh no. The gate goes right back up in time, and they need it burned once again. Frag grenade back out, and oh no, this is where the freebie's going to come in. Finally, Houghton goes down, but no real chance for him to move anywhere. Still have a laser gate up. One drops hatch, could possibly be for a 2K, but no. Kill feed goes back and forth. It's down to the 2 versus 2 after 5 bodies just fall. Laxing with yet another, and it's Dream to try and clutch this up and keep Oxygen away from map point.
It wasn't a small out there when Foxay wasn't able to get that grenade kill initially. We'll talk about that later, as we're still in the midst of this clutch. Dream in such a tense scenario right now. He can't fully check his left angle until he knows the push is coming. Chucks that smoke out at the very final second here. Now going to try to rotate in. Was checking to make sure his opponent didn't run through that. Laxing takes the heat. He didn't cross it yet either, so he might actually go down here if he's not careful. Laxing get literally a sliver of health. One shot is all that Dream needs. Now Yaga needs to trade it, but where is he? There's no sign of him anywhere on the map. He can't find it. The time will run out, and Mirage will win it at 0 time.
I'm over here dream clapping. I'm just dream clapping right now. That was fantastic from him. I mean, he didn't even know where the guy was, and he still made the move to extra cover instead. If he stays inside a freezer hallway, Yaga kills him, and that's more than likely Oxygen just winning this series. I mean, some fantastic stuff for Dream to lock it up, especially when he hadn't even had a kill yet inside of the game. That's where those opportunities come in for those kinds of people. Dream has been mostly stuck to utility duty and trying to make things work for Mirage, and that's a tall task for a lot of people, you know, and a lot of the time it doesn't get you very many kills, or sometimes not even assists. But when you're needed and your number is called, that is the kind of situation that you want and how you want it to go. Some fantastic play there from Dream to lock up that round for Mirage and keep them in the running up against OXG.
All right, guys, into round 9. Mirage stay in the pack and stay close to the scoreline of OXG, but is it going to be enough to fully route back? We'll have to find out and see here, as they're going not back upstairs, but instead to the kitchen as well as cafeteria hold, interestingly enough. OXG took the meeting room route here because you have a choice between the cafeteria and meeting room for either of these 2 sites. This kitchen is shared between the 2 of them. And we've seen teams generally trend one way or another pretty definitively, but as far as which one is dominant, I'd actually say it's a pretty mixed bag right now, based on what I've been seeing here at NA at least. So, one of those sort of pick your poison things.
It's at a really weird spot. I mean, if TSM is the TSM we saw today, then it's TSM. You know what I mean? But yeah. From what we saw for the first week with Beast Coast, I don't know. We'll have to find out. I think that this is probably the most fun NA season that we've had in quite some time when it just comes to competitiveness. I want to see what XSET can possibly produce later on in the season as well. I feel like they're going through a lot of problems right now that they need to get ironed out. But after that point, I think that the entire field is going to be competitive, and I truly cannot wait to see who's going to come out on top. But now down to round 9, and Mirage on a cafe kitchen hold, one that we don't see happen too often, but definitely happens all the same. Of a rush in from the hologram of Yana to get some really good intel, but no damage to follow through on either end. Instead, it's going to be Oxygen now popping open cafe wall for small tower and dealing quite a bit of damage to not loading as well.
Very tense early around here, as both teams trying to make aggressive swings when possible, but at the same time, Oxygen also trying to pretty quickly take control, or at least clear out the players in position over by the showers area there too. Not loading, I mean, we can see the aggression right here. Not loading, chucking the nitro outside behind the van. Another player upstairs trying to get aggressive as well. Houghton's actually going to get caught, it looks like, by the window next to White Stairs, and that will lead to the first loss for Mirage here. Definitely not the last either, as Oxygen look like they're going to keep the pressure up. They have that small tower control for the most part in full here. And it looks like they're now going to move upstairs to complete the roam clear, but that's not going to be so easy. Not loading, does connect on the tree, does take down Foxy. That'll also remove the Maverick from play, removing one of their 2 hard breach options. Vert again just getting the intel here from the drone, but Yogg is going to be able to act on that now, take Benji out of the play entirely, and leave OXG with a man advantage yet again.
And that's such a scary thing with these two. Give vertical Yana, man. That guy clicks heads all the time. He doesn't need the firepower of something like the R4C, but gets caught sprinting instead as Vert goes down. A little bit of Caster's Curse here into the late of round 9, but now it's a 3 versus 3. Mirage still trying to hold on strong to Showers as Nyx rotates himself in. Really one smoke down for Kino. That's about it. The rest of his Somas have been used, and they need to try and make a plant happen pretty dang soon. Still have some utility to use for the rest of them as well, and now some nice crosses being held, but still need that plant opportunity. The rest of Oxygen start to rotate over around him, actually truly not even seeing them. Where are these last 2 members? Looks like Laxing's playing the bottom of White Stairs. He'll claim not loading as Yaga has rotated over to help his companion. Kino moves up inside of Cafe, but they can't find Nyx, who's found safe harbor inside of Showers. Dream doesn't actually find Laxing. Lots of damage goes down. Nyx gets 1 inside of this 1 versus 3. It's a double kill for him. He'll need the quad to finish it out. Kino will get off of plant now as it's been secured and it's planted inside of Kitchen. Pre-fires going each and every single direction. Nyx with a botched impact deals some extra damage to himself down to a singular bullet of HP.
Thankfully, just a small amount being done to himself there. Tries to get the lineup onto Yogg, but instead it goes the other way. Yogg winning out that final 1v1 and securing the penultimate round here for the OXG roster. They sit in a confident position now over their opponents, with just the single round being needed for them to close out on the match. These rounds are so close. Oxygen just barely coming out on top right now, though, and only needing 1 more to win it. It's going to put the pressure on Mirage here. It's got to be perfect for the next 3 rounds from them.
Truly insane that Mirage still had an opportunity there into the late round to win that before that double kill ended up happening, and Lax was able to get those really influential frags. But, I mean, I really like how Mirage was still standing tall inside of sight and trying to hold space. They needed to maintain control of that Showers area to make things extremely difficult for Oxygen, and that's exactly what happened and why Nyx was able to get away with so much of what happened right there. But it really was down to the other 2 members of Mirage that just couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. Now Oxygen up 6-3. Mirage have to go for a perfect 3 rounds to force us into overtime. Otherwise, they're going to lose this here to OXG on Oregon.
Let's find out if they're going to be able to do it. We can still see in-games. We can see some of the operator picks here. It's looking like we're going to go back to kids and dorms for the next defense here. So the upstairs play needs to pan out right now for Mirage. No changes to the overall lineup from what I can see from OXG's side of things. They're still bringing the Yana on Vert, Kino on the ace, as well as a couple other players sticking with what they've been using. Laxing, when he isn't getting picked in the early round there, still finding his very late round clutch moments from the Nomad too. So still a lot to come from him and the rest of this OXG roster.
Honestly, I feel like Nomad is such a strong operator for him overall, especially with that ARX. I mean, that thing hits like a semi-truck.
Does he have the ARX on?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Yeah, yep.
I thought I saw him with the AK, but I might have just been crazy.
No, when you're killing people in 2 bullets, man.
No, because, like, I actually don't hate the AK that she has, is the thing. Like, I think it's not a bad gun. I was just curious, because I know most people use the ARX, but...
They have their you know, handoffs, right? Like the AK has a lower rate of fire, but a monstrosity of a magazine. I mean, you have 40 rounds inside of a rifle, right? But then you have the ARX that's low mag capacity, but just an insane amount of damage. And in a game like Siege, where you're not going to get into like an engagement where you're like fighting 3 people all at the same time every single time, especially for a position like Nomad, right, where you're going to be more on the flank watch and that kind of stuff, where you're more than likely going to have those 1v1 engagements. The ARX is probably one of the best firearms in the entire game for that kind of situation. I mean, it's just very minimal recoil, really strong with ACOG muzzle brake, and it does an absurd amount of damage. I mean, that's exactly why he won those 2 engagements there at the bottom of White, especially the second one. I mean, it's just way too much damage to try and deal with in certain engagements. But off of the gun talk and stats talk now, folks, we're down to the possible last round between these 2, as Oxygen have already made their entry into the building. It's a small tower take for them, and they're going to have to worry about some Mirage members down low inside of security.
quickly clearing things out on the first floor here. Oxygen are looking to maintain the map control. More importantly, get it as quickly as they can here. Yeah, definitely a bit of a weird one from Nyx, as he's going to be bunkering himself to the inside of security with a small bottom to top angle that we'll see how this will get used more than likely later on in the round. I don't think this will directly interfere with the big window taken anyway. I'm trying to remember like where that's positioned and what that'll get in the way of, but
it doesn't cover the big window. Well, actually, no, it does. It does. It's because of the white, the white stairs angle. So I'm wrong. Apologies on my end.
Okay,
but
so this is,
yeah, the thing that's super weird about that downstairs area is that they don't have a rotate out all except for the singular door. And usually inside a siege, that means that you're just gonna die. So we'll see how that ends up going. But as of right now, I mean, the angles make sense. Frag grenades in now. Loading's gonna end up getting downed on top white. I don't think that he'll be able to safely get out either. Follow through frag grenade coming through, but it's actually not even towards him. It's towards hot and cold, who it's going to deal an absurd amount of damage to. Kino's gonna get one for his troubles as well. This round is just falling apart at the seams for Mirage. Oh no.
Also finding Nyx elsewhere too. So already Mirage down to 2 players. Houghton somehow wasn't picked up as part of the intel game here though, so he gets a clean first pick, and it's Kino with the case in hand as well. A pretty big grab for Mirage, all things considered, but they still have a lot of work to do, and Yogg's on a tear right now. Picks up one more. Houghton, the last player standing in a 1v3, sub 10 HP. He's not going to be able to get it done. Oxygen close out the map and take the win today.
Such a solid showing from Oxygen, and what a game from Kino overall. That guy just lights out in every chance that he was presented. Great stuff here for them, but Mirage once again struggling, not able to find the win that they so desperately wanted. Just not a lot of things really going their way. Just really rough showing. I mean, Dream and not loading combining for the exact same amount of frags that Fox Egg got overall. I mean, some really solid, some really bad stuff overall from Mirage, but not stuff that they can't fix. That's the biggest thing, is this is just young team struggles, just trying to really make things mesh with this entire squad and make something happen. I'm extremely excited to see what they can do in their future. I just think that there's a couple other things on that checklist to get written off.
Definitely for the OXG side, though, things continuing to look bright for them as they take their first win on Oregon in quite some time. I'm sure Jesse will give us more information on that when we get back to the desk in a little bit here as well. But yeah, first victory for them in a long time after having a lot of very close shaves against a lot of other teams here. Now being able to take down Mirage, and for the first loss, or second loss, I believe, on the record here for Mirage. They lost in overtime. I mean, they still have 1 point overall, but unfortunately will take home 0 points today, as this is a loss in regulation for the Mirage roster. So they're going to sit at that 1 point from last week. OXG, though, going to continue to soar ahead there as they take the outright win inside of regulation themselves.
Yeah, and what an Oregon it was. I think we had a lot of ups and downs there. The early rounds were definitely telling a story of these two going back and forth on either side, but that was not the case at all. Right about that halfway point is where we saw Mirage start to fall to pieces, just not a lot of the big plays actually amounting to anything inside of the rounds, whether it be through man count or through other means. They just didn't have what it took in order to close those out when they so desperately needed it. As for Oxygen and what John was talking about, I mean, these guys are looking really strong. This is the first time that they've won Oregon since they beat SSG a really long time ago, 8-7. Since that moment, they've lost every single Oregon that they've played. And what that tells you right there is that this new Oxygen squad is just overall looking stronger. They're more confident in this map pool and what they can possibly produce. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm just loving it across the board, especially with where we're currently allocating players, especially with Vertical. I mean, I think his Yana gameplay today was just so strong.
All right, guys, well, that's going to do it for this match. Stick with us, though, as we still have the analysis breakdown as well as the preparation for our final match of the day coming up right after this break.
What does it take to call next? Follow us for a deep dive into the Rainbow Six community, breaking down barriers, taking you behind the scenes and showing what it means to level up.
Introducing Fuse TV, the richest video editor for gamers. Fuse TV makes it super easy to create awesome gaming clips with one-click video effects, GIFs, and music. Unleash your creativity with Fuse TV. Download free now.
Hey, kid.
Who, me?
Yes, you. How would you like to win some Face It points?
Face It points? What are those?
Face It points are points you can collect by playing on Face It or by watching North American League broadcasts on the official Rainbow Six Twitch channel. You can redeem those points for items such as new skins, hardware, chairs, or a new car.
A new car? That's the bee's knees.
It sure is, Timmy. Now run on home and start earning those points. Hey, Billy.
Oh, holy mackerel, mister.